Let's suppose that nobody watches cable news anymore. It's lame. People don't like CNN. People don't like Bloomberg. People in Brazil don't like Global News or Multishow or these things you've probably never heard about because you're not from Brazil. If you're from Brazil, pay attention, please. I just watched a video and I want to give the guy my response because he's a guy that thinks in the big picture, but he's in a position that's a lot different than what I am in right now. And I'm not talking about financial situation or anything like that. I'm talking about position in society and projection in media. Now, I started saying that maybe people don't watch cable news anymore. I want to point out that when I started watching cable news, international TV, ISP provider granted it 3 international channels. I started watching it. I started following a lot more of the discussions that were happening in the United States of America, but also other countries. My vision of what I saw as the globalized world, a vision that I believed in, but I didn't know the specifics when I was working as an English teacher saying, look, if you study this, you'll have so many opportunities. My vision didn't narrow down, it expanded. So when you say people don't watch global news because it's lame, I'm going to say this. Now, if you have a disagreement with something you saw on cable TV, welcome to the internet. But that's your point, not mine. My point is, when did people say welcome to the internet to you specifically? When was that? When was that? And I'm not here saying digital natives have a different way of looking at the world. They do. Scientific research. Look it up. But saying that makes people feel a little bit offended. So when we want to have grown-up discussions, we need to take a moment and separate the absurdist, sensationalist, provocative in the wrong way, and gossipy and exclusively dedicated to information flow kind of news feed from the ideological, the projects, the construction of a better future for society, for the bigger picture, which is not your news feed on Twitter. But starting with Twitter, what about Elon Musk? I said enough about Elon Musk. I didn't want to talk about Elon Musk. Why? Because I've been on Twitter since 2010, I think. 2010, or I think it was 2010 when I joined Twitter. I put a lot of my thought into that platform. A lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas, a lot of feelings, a lot of experiences, to the point where it got embarrassing. Well, do you ever ask your grandma if she or he, if she's embarrassed about your TikTok videos? Do you ask your grandma if she understands the same kinds of jokes that you're laughing, rolling on the floor laughing about? Do you ever do that? No, you fucking don't. No, you fucking don't. So what's your standard? First of all, who are you? How old are you? To be making memes about Elon Musk being the smartest guy in the world. Why? Because of money? Have you ever paid attention to what the guy's talking about? Or do you only pay attention to the talking points? Green energy, free internet, exploration of the space. He is the richest man in the world. Have you seen statistics about the world? Do you study at all? Elon Musk is trying to cancel his deal with Twitter, probably the biggest communications company in the planet. Probably, I said, not a person that excludes China from the map. I said probably, because the media play a very big role in that. But this one internet reporter, tech journalist, as she calls herself, was saying that cable news doesn't matter anymore. Really? That's where I learned that Rudy Giuliani existed. Does he not matter? That's where I learned that Steve Bannon existed. Does he not matter? That's where I learned that January 6th was happening. Does that not matter? That's where I learned what happened with Breonna Taylor. Does she not matter? And I could go on and on and on. And I could switch the channel. I could switch the channel and talk about what I know about Goldman Sachs. Absolutely nothing, but they have a little bit of power, don't they? What I know about BlackRock, because I learned that these were venture capital companies. And what is venture capital? I had to do some research because of cable news. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. Otherwise, I would probably be seduced by a Bitcoin scam because some smart dude came on my YouTube and started saying to me, if you invest now, you're going to be so rich next week. And you're probably going to thank that chick. Because that's who they are. Is Elon Musk any different? Elon Musk wants to say that Twitter has a problem with robots. Well, yeah. Every time I say the word shit in Portuguese, there is a shit robot that retweets me, and nobody else does. But the shit robot does. Is that a problem? Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem because I don't only talk shit on Twitter. Am I talking shit here? I'm talking about important stuff, I think. Unless you think what I say is always shit. That's the judgment you're making. But how do you respond to this, everything I said so far? In the first topic, I want to talk about a few things today. First of them is Elon Musk says that Twitter has a robot problem. What about Instagram, owned by Meta? Instagram doesn't have a robot problem? Does he relate robots to spam accounts? And is he going to talk about spam accounts in the context of money? Are they going to ask Elon Musk these questions? Because, believe it or not, we're interested to hear what the guy has to say. It's going to be an interesting piece of documentary, I would like to say. But moving on, there's not only Twitter. They're big boys. Yeah, sure. But have you heard of Microsoft? Have you heard of Google? Microsoft and Google have been fighting for a while, and it seems that nobody notices. It bothers me so much. Bothers me so much. You have OneDrive, you have Google Drive. course, you have the emails, you have the logins, you have an operational system, and you have a transition from desktop to mobile. And then you have another player, Apple, with an operational system. And this whole thing started, and people don't think and don't remember, and I'm gonna have a stroke, that this whole thing was because of Huawei creating an operational system for smartphones. Do you not remember that? I don't think we have a lot of information about the protests in Hong Kong, but to this day, Omegle, that site that everybody makes fun of, but is very popular on TikTok. See the irony, see the irony. Very popular on TikTok, but what does it say? It says, stand against the Chinese Communist Party and with Hong Kong. What are they saying? That economic liberalism is going to save us? I don't have the specific knowledge to talk about that. I know that capital has a role. I know, you know what I did before I decided to shoot this video? I put on my best and only suit. It's kind of a jacket, actually. But you can't even see because my camera is shitty, and you only see a dark atmosphere here, the background. Capital has impact. Capital has influence. But what I'm talking about is not my jacket. I bought this jacket when I had a lot of money for my standards. When I was working as an English teacher, making like 2,000 Brazilian real a month. Those in the best months, in the more or less months, it was minimum wage. Minimum wage. So it's funny. It's funny to see how many people can be bought so easily. So fucking easily. The thing with Microsoft and Google is something that worries me, because they think that the cloud is the future, but there's not one single lawyer who will say, what about the user's rights? Upload your contact, your contact assistant included. It was my mistake. Upload your materials, everything you have, your files, your contacts, your content, your videos, your text, your Excel things, everything you have on your computer. Imagine you're a musician, you have a full catalog, but you only, not only this, you have the final version of the songs, and you have every single audio file that was created in the process of making that one single that you strive so much to market and had 4 views on. I know a lot of musicians who have been through that. I know some of them personally because I'm a musician. Hi. Microsoft and Google will say, give me that. Give me that. Because if you don't use their products, you can't market it. You can go to a studio and make some music. That's a different thing. You can record it on a camera. What are you going to do with that file? You're going to upload it on YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google. Do you see? And that's okay. That's okay. But we're not reaching an understanding that a person who clicks and views your video and likes is not paying you money, and it's not paying for your freaking rehearsal. much less buying a copy of your original song album. So some people need to think a little bit, and I'm not, my annoyance is, part of it is at myself, because these things have always been clear to me, but being confronted with the facts that we are so fucking exploited every single fucking day, and we say nothing about it, is something that I've been too quiet for too long. Now, something else that I've been quiet for too long is my security. Who read the tweet where I narrate what happened with two-factor authentication and Facebook marketing and problems with my camera on my phone and people trying to kidnap other people who I know and grabbing my phone and errors in Federal Register of my profession and stuff like that? Did you read that? Probably didn't. You probably didn't. But you know what? I realized something. If you want better security while using the internet, you have to pay for it. You have to pay for it. Just like if you want Spotify Premium, you have to pay for it. But at least you think you're doing something good. Think you're doing something good for the artist, right? Oh my Lord. Security is paid. Everybody was saying, you know, the Czech company, I don't know how to pronounce their name, but it's probably something like Avest. This company is a Czech company from the Czech Republic, not a Czech. Like, they're from the Czech Republic. Antivirus company, security company, bigger parent companies. This is a security company, I guess. So you can say that. They put pop-ups on your windows and say, people know what you're doing. Your IP is visible. Incognito is not really incognito. Use VPN to protect yourself. And then you click. But the VPN has a price. The VPN has a price. How many people do you see talking about free VPNs and bloggers? Because blogging is not important, right? How many bloggers do you see talking about free VPNs and giving scrutiny, giving analysis, giving real information and explaining what VPN is and why this is a good way to do it? One time, I want to tell a story that's kind of run sideways a little bit, but one time I was in a chat room. That's all I'll say right now. And this guy said, it's funny to realize how many dumb people there are because they don't know what a subdomain is. I had no idea what a subdomain was. I had to Google it. I'm not sure I understand. And you want to talk about VPN? A fair amount of people know that you can configure VPN, right? For the servers you want, for everything has an identification, right? But some of these services which provide the faster connectivity or the most secure, anything you want, and this is where they market themselves and they're focusing on that. For the average consumer, I believe, right? Because of obvious reasons. What are you doing online that you don't want people to know, to find out about? It's not your conversations with your grandma, right? If you want to have access to these services, you need to pay. So capital has power. Well, nothing new, right? But let's suppose that you meet someone. You just added this girl or this guy. So let's be real here. You just met this girl, and this girl says, hello. Who the hell says hello? How are you? You add somebody on Snapchat and they say, how are you? I'm 32 years old, but I can tell you that this is a scam. For real. And I know everybody's going to agree because I talk to people, and that is the difference. But that exposes me. I know that the girl who says, how are you on Snapchat, the first time that you see her and that she starts the conversation, I know this person is fake. Why? Well, because you're 32. When you were 16 or something, you saw the level of the scams. You just grew up and forgot about it. Thought it was never going to happen again. But guess what? It got a little bit more sophisticated. You just didn't notice. The thing about it getting more sophisticated is that if you see something wrong and you want to report that, let's suppose it's something serious like sexual harassment, which for a lot of people wouldn't be something serious and something that, depending on the point of view, isn't really their tough truth to swallow. Even didn't manage to say that very clearly because it really is. But the truth is that the police doesn't have time to investigate a scam, a report. And we're putting this in the hands of private companies that in turn put this in the hands of consulting companies. We know this because of Facebook and because of journalists that Joe Biden loves so much. That's why we know. But I don't want to talk too much about the scams. I'm pretty much fucked because of that. I want to talk about harassment just a little bit. Harassment has a much deeper cultural root. If you come up to me and say, you don't know what harassment is, I'll walk away from you. I will not continue this conversation with you. I'll walk away from you. And that explains a lot about the pandemic. If we're thinking together. I do know. I do know. But the channels of support need to be stronger, and they are not. Automated responses were the mechanism that people found to be able to open the internet for full connectivity as a mission. But there's so many problems not solved that people just got into a little bit of a crossroads. Do we keep investing more in the newest technology, or do we fix these problems with the existing technology, and they chose to invest more. Look at the metaverse. They chose to invest more. How many scams do you think the metaverse will have? They haven't looked at Instagram, brother. They haven't looked at Instagram. And they want to do the metaverse. Look at the investments. Look at the freaking investments in this metaverse thing. But the media, focus. The media wants you to talk about Elon Musk and robots on Twitter. Could it be that this is because of the huge fucking investments in the metaverse and the gaming industry being a part of that? Could it be that Microsoft, probably the biggest company in the world, plays a fucking huge role in the gaming industry because of Xbox? Dominating it and competing only with Sony after Nintendo didn't have as many subscribers as it did with Nintendo 64. I know a little bit about that. I was young. I liked to play games. That's actually how I learned to speak English. Isn't it funny? But are you gonna pay for a game streamer? Do you think that the girl or the guy that is streaming a new game with a super powerful computer, the highest webcam quality that you've ever seen, to the point that you question what you see with your own eyes, and you look at the laptop or the phone or whatever, and you say, no, that is reality. That is reality. Not what I see here with my own eyes. That is reality. Look at the definition, man. You're gonna pay these people. How about you buy a pair of fucking glasses? Idiot. This is what nobody told me, and I'm telling you now. Now, payment needs to be fair. That's a much bigger discussion. That's the discussion of the Amazon workers. That's the discussion about Uber. That's the discussion about any retail store and teachers and other positions of essential roles in society that do not have proper compensation. How do we know that? I'm a freaking teacher. Culture plays a role, but I'm not going to play that card here. I want to separate my music from what I say here. Music has other kinds of answers. You bet they do. The information flows that people want to push for, this hyper-connected, it already exists, it's already happening, but this hyper-connected, hyper-fast, 1,000 followers at least, network of people, young people, connected and paying attention to every innovation that comes up. And whatever's not innovative enough, they throw away. If it's more of the same, they throw away. More of the same. Brother, the countries are still the same. They're not new countries. The countries are still the same. Do you realize there's some things that don't change? Unless you're rooting for Russia. Information flows need to have not only people analyzing it, the data analysts, the data analysts, this beautiful profession. People working at McKinsey and stuff like that. Accenture, Cognizant, some of the consulting companies that I know. But also people who do more scientific research, like the German Statista and so on, that they expand to other fields. They're data scientists. They collect data. In Brazil, we have the Institute of Geography and Statistics. They collect data. This for other purposes, I think. I don't think the Institute of Geography and Statistics of Brazil is interested in social media. I don't think so. Am I being partisan? At this point, I don't even care. This needs to have not only the data scientists, but together, holding hands with the data scientists, a legal specialist. Because if not, my friends, this video is worth nothing.